Hi, I'm Glenn Collins from ACCA and I'm with John Stokdyk from AccountingWEB, and we're here to talk about professional accountants of the future. At ACCA we've done quite a lot of research on this area, and we've looked at digital, we've looked at regulation and how that will affect accountants going forward in the future. We've also actually remodelled our exams to actually make sure that the trainees going forward in the future are also equipped. Now, John and I have been looking at a number of different areas, and we've got some considerable overlap in those areas where we both have particular interests. We both can see how professional accountants will need to work in the future. John, do you want to tell us a bit more?
Yeah, well, the Practice Excellence Awards is all about firms sharing their experiences, showing what they're doing well. And over time, we can pick up patterns about what techniques are doing, and as firms come with us, how they have developed a particular strategy over time. So if I look at this chart here, it's all about the top 5 things that the firms have told us they did every year. Yep. You see, referrals is always the most dominant feature of any practice activity, or that's what they told us about last year. But going right in parallel with it, the blue line there is cloud accounting, has surged up slowly over the years. But running in parallel with referrals is specialist business advice, people working in the niches. And that's been a really strong feature of the profession, not just the number of firms in our samples, because all the new firms that entered last year, they all identified themselves as niche. But the population's also been driven by bigger firms who, when they want to expand, they've kind of got their coverage in different areas and markets. They will focus on a particular service line for a particular kind of business, a niche. And the reason they're doing it is because this is where all the growth is coming from. Again, it's the little firms, 2-3-year-old firms who are working the niches can get spectacular growth, and they're actually taking the average for those kinds of firms above 50%, the fastest growing people in the business. So all of that's why people are doing niche. What the practice gurus say is correct. You really have to start shaping your service for the needs of different kinds of clients and really make it special for them.
I mean, I've seen quite a lot of niche firms and niche firms develop, and we've seen a lot of those over the years. We've seen them in, typical and obvious ones like charities. We've seen them in the construction sector. We've seen them in farming and agriculture. But presumably, any particular business could be a niche. And we would see quite a lot of our members actually specialising in areas because the regulation, you'll know their digital requirements and actual needs going forward, probably some of their accounting functions and specialised reporting functions sitting there as well. It does cause me some concern, though, that you can become overly specialised within an area. I know in my own particular areas I worked in, I had about 3 areas that I spent an awful lot of time working in those sectors and getting knowledge up in those sectors. I wonder, looking back, whether that was too many. What's your feedback?
Some of them, we'd look at our entrants, all those areas you mentioned, charities, construction, agriculture, they all showed up. There were groups of firms working in that area. The new firms, by necessity, are very specialised, tend to be in the one segment, and it's the larger firms who have the more portfolio of niche services. I think you're right. There is a risk in any business. Business sectors will rise and business sectors will fall. So part of your part of your own business awareness and business planning would be to know your niche sectors so well that if you can see a risk evolving, you start mitigating your own business model. Maybe it would be time to consider an avenue you could go down that would complement your if you were a very small, main niche, or if your niche is disappearing, if you were advising the video shops of so many years ago, or DVD shops. Maybe it's time to look at digital streaming services as a new outlet for you. Who's eating up the business models of your clients, and go where the action is. I mean, again, that's using business, your business analysis and acumen to help steer your own business. So it's a factor.
But there's got to be real benefits of actually working in a sector as well, and having that knowledge of that sector. Actually, the economies you make on economies of scale you actually make, you will have that greater knowledge, and presumably for an awful lot of people, and I know sectors I've worked in and practices I've spoken to, they've found some sectors particularly lucrative, both in growth and also in profits in the end.
I mean, I guess a good niche shouldn't be easy to move into, and I think we have issues of the contractor market, where there's a lot of that's the most popular named niche we see in our entrance. If everybody's in that market, how do you differentiate your service from them? The ones that leap out are the ones you described, pharmacists and vets or agriculture, where there are specialist reporting requirements and different kinds of regulations you have to comply with. So you invest the time to get that right, and that becomes your sort of defense against other entrants to the market. Interestingly, the niche players we see in our awards, they're also the ones who seem to be more enthusiastic about cloud accounting add-ons, because they're going out and they're finding, that farming application that takes care of your EU, agricultural reports, or some other aspect that's, the booking times. So any in any service business where they're booking time, and you're translating the actual bookings through to some, to bills and income. So those, they're putting together little packages of apps, and that productizes the service, and that does help them deliver the scale. So you're exactly right. It's not always easy to get into them, but once you've got into it and you've cracked the processes and the requirements, then you've got a model that will scale.
And I suspect from that as well, you also really do benefit from client referrals, because actually moving into that sector, delivering those products that you actually mentioned, it's word of mouth spreading through that sector. I mean, do these firms also work quite a lot within the sector on a voluntary basis, on research areas and the like?
That certainly, they'll try lots of different techniques. The research, the voluntary work, sort of getting involved with the professional associations and the trade bodies always works. The clever ones will sort of have things to, have a point of view on the business, on the sector, and they'll communicate that through the professional titles and things. They'll publish thought leadership pieces. Any accounts who specialize, they're one of those specialists in the contractor fields. They've got a knowledge base all about the sort of tax issues and things for put in the language that contractors will understand, and they've almost made their own site a knowledge base for that kind of client.
So John, if you want to become a niche firm, what are the 3 key points you need to consider?
Okay, drawing this comes from things that we've seen across all the sectors of practice excellence, so it's a very common pattern. But know where you want to focus is point 1, and be very clear and intentional about it. Point 2 is then, do your research. We talked about getting inside the heads of clients, really understanding their reporting requirements, the KPIs, where their pain points are. Use that as the architecture for the service you provide. And if you do that right and you put it together into something that works for the clients, then it will work for your firm. So point 3 would be, go out there and make sure that everybody else in that sector knows about you, and put yourself out as the expert in this business, and that will help continue your growth and give you the economies of scale that niche can bring. So if anything I've said so far matches what you've already done in your firm, or you think I'm telling you the obvious, you're probably someone who could well be in the running for the Practice Excellence Awards. We've got all sorts of categories that would appeal to a niche firm, and you can find out more details about how to enter at www.practice-excellence.co.uk. And come along with us. We'll be carrying on this journey and hope you can be with us for that.